Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GST that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities are not. And with that, I'd like to bring my guest on, Eric Pelletier, a good friend of mine. Hi, Eric. How are you doing today?
Hi, Gary. It's a pleasure to see you.
Good to see you, too. So, let's talk a little bit about it. Tell us a little bit about your background and your consulting days and some of your journey.
Yes, I've been a strategy consultant for over 40 years. I was a partner at Bain and then some other places. I worked in London, in Paris, in Boston. My focus was on private equity, technology, and restructuring. And along the process, I worked for many large Fortune 500 corporations, but also assisting startups grow and develop and reach their objectives.
Yeah, so, when you were at Bain, how was it at Bain, Eric?
These were the glory days of Bain. I joined in '84 in the London office. It was a very different type of business at the time. Strategy consulting was just emerging. We were a very secretive company. We didn't even have, a sign outside the building saying that we were in the building. Our phone number was red listed because only very, very few clients could work with us. And we experienced tremendous growth at the time. And we really changed the consulting world by being, I think, our main differentiating factor at the time was to be focused on creating actual measurable value for clients. It's a great ethos.
So, let's talk a little bit about, the tools and services Simplenight has, but specifically, how do companies go out there when we take this incredible generative AI and look at being able to support local businesses, such as small hotels, restaurant, event organizers? What kind of tools, how did these really impact these companies?
There's one way. Yeah, sorry. There's one way to look at it. One angle with which you can analyze Simplenight is the way it helps create communities, ecosystem. A community is what? It's a place where you commune. It's about sharing. So if you have tools that allow you to build a community, an ecosystem, and get local players to emerge through that simply, it's a tremendous achievement.
We look at it, these governments have the ability to use tools like Simplenight, whether it's a national, regional, or local government, they're looking at innovative ways to do things like promote tourism, streamline the local travel related logistics, and of course, make the experience more sticky to improve the visitor experiences. So, in the future, these hyper personalized tools, how important do you think they're going to be to governments in being able to help?
If you look at what's happening around the world, and especially in the US, you can see that with Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump, the very nature of government is changing, and there is a tremendous drive towards efficiency because of budget deficits, many reasons. So one thing, governments are looking at higher efficiency. Second thing is the realm of services they have to offer is becoming, extremely large. The third thing, people are getting a bit irritated when they have to go through answering the same question, filling the same, boxes, etc. So a system where they recognize where their real needs are understood, that creates huge potential. And Simple Night, with its hyper personalization approach, allows government to provide those services much more efficiently.
Well, I mean, imagine this: the tourism promotion, destination marketing. Being able to showcase. So if you're traveling to a specific country, you can showcase the local attractions. Imagine being able to go out and really feature those cultural events that nobody really has a chance to see, or those unique experiences, or local attraction. Really, to be able to highlight that particular region, city, or state or country, and to be able to drive the tourism to it. And then the other thing is branding, Eric. Imagine the branding capabilities, being able to use the booking engine on these tourism sites to be able to dramatically increase the efficiencies and give people those seamless experiences that you really want to have. So we look at it, the it's just not about streamlining travel bookings. Of course, that's important, but it's really what other kind of relationships can be driven to be able to help companies like Simple Night, and how it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's a win-win. Everybody can make money, right? Co-branded promotions, etc. But the most important is to be able to serve the customer way better in a hyper personalized way with this omni-channel engine.
Yeah, because the Simple Night really changes the power structure of this type of situation. Typically today, the power is located with, say, Booking.com, and they got the branding. But in fact, the power should be located at my level, me, the customer. I should be recognized and I should be offered interesting things. And the power should also be located at the people who provide the experience, the hotel, the spas, the golf course, the camel rides, the museums, fancy restaurants, all these things. So with Simple Night, by providing this infrastructure, you're really changing the nature of the power structure, and this allows you to bring people personalized experience and also unique experience.
Well, the other thing is, for the governments, they know where to spend the money because they gain insights into the visitor demographics, what is the season and the length of the season, what are the patterns of the booking, and how can they use that data to be able to really drive their decisions? Because sometimes it's just like, being blindfolded and shooting dart against the board. Now they can do it in a very laser precise way, so they understand where to put the money for infrastructure. They understand where to put the money for marketing campaigns. And more importantly, they understand what policies they need to have in place, to be able to support that experience. And the other thing is, if you look at it, the performance metrics, by looking at how many tourists is booked through government channel, they can really evaluate how to develop strategies and adjust the promotion of resources as needed to be able to serve their customers, which are those local businesses. At the same time, the infrastructure of the government. At the same time, deliver a pleasurable experience to the customer, right? We haven't really done that in the past, have we, Eric? Especially for unique events, things that people normally don't see.
No, absolutely. I'll take the example of the camel rides. Um, you know, People go to some place, they want to take a camel ride, unique experience in the desert, right? But it's very difficult to figure out, how should you dimension that? You need to have 10 providers of that, or you want to have one provider with expanded hours. Typically, when you're a government or a tourism board, you do not have this information. With Simple Night, you see the process by which people decide to not only what they want, but you see how they get there, how they get to that decision. And then when it's combined with the scheduler that's built in Simple Night, then the wealth of information is brilliant because as a person in charge, you can provide information to the potential partners you want to have in your ecosystem, in your system.
You're right. I mean, and those curated, hyper personalized experience help those governments to be able to help them serve their clients, their those companies inside of their boundaries, and at the same time they can have enriching experience. And nobody can you imagine a historical tour. So you want to go to Williamsburg, Virginia, on a tour to see this historic place. Well, I mean, not everybody offers it, and more importantly everything combined together. So whether what plane do you need to take, what seat on the plane do you like, what restaurants do you like to book, where are those restaurants located, what kind of diet do you have, which one of your friends happen to be in Williamsburg or close to Williamsburg at the same time. Imagine, I mean, why, we look at it today, we use really point to point experiences. And when we use these really sophisticated multi point experiences that are intelligent, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yes, and it's very interesting when you talk about point to point. Point to point, say so you decide to go to Williamsburg, okay? You would like to know why people want to go there. You want to understand their entry point. What is it? What is interesting them? What drives them to go there? And then you see once they start navigating, you get the information of the type of stay, the type of experience they want to have. And with this, you build a system. And I think we had discussed it. To me, an important thing is, when you let's take the example of a holiday, planning it should be a pleasurable experience. It should be part of the holiday experience. Is actually the planning phase, all the dreams you have, all the things you want to live. Being able to do this in a nice, simple, pleasurable way, and with a system that actually opens your mind to new opportunities, new experiences.
Well, that's right. And those new experiences, when you do that, I remember in the psychology classes many years ago. So by partnering with those local businesses to give those visitors those access to really high quality, high touch experiences, dramatically increases the likelihood of positive reviews and more importantly, repeat business, right? Because if you get what you want, for you the probability of doing something again in that region, that country, dramatically goes up, doesn't it?
Yes, because for the time being, what you see, you got, good guides with a TripAdvisor or Booking.com. They give you discrete points of information about each item, but they don't give you the overall experience, the overall perspective. One of the reasons why they don't is that um, I don't know if they have the information. I believe they have the information. I don't think they process it beyond themselves, um, because they want to keep the power. If, on the other hand, you start gathering this information and you circle it back, you know how to build your system as a tourism board, and you also help your partners actually improve the quality of what they're offering.
No, you're right. And it's not just about tourism, is it? Imagine you can buy anything, any place, anytime. So you become this hub to be able to allow people to do all kinds of things. I mean, travel is just the beginning, isn't it?
Yes, the travel is a very good example because historically travel services have been very sophisticated. It started in England in the 19th century with Thomas Cook, and it was very advanced. And then they started getting people to travel because there was a train that emerged at the time. Then they realized they needed guides and books. And then, when people went to Egypt to visit the pyramids, then they would have local tours, and everything was built around that. More recently, IBM and Pan Am worked together to create the first reservation system. And at the same time, the airlines realized they needed to not only fly people, but provide them with cars and hotel rooms. So travel is very interesting as a way to get started, but the logic behind it applies to anytime you build a system, anytime you build, an ecosystem, a community. If you have a way to get it built easily and provide an hyper personalized experience to clients, that's fairly unique.
Well, you're right, because when they go out on these trips, they go to a restaurant. Those restaurants, the kind of restaurants, let's just say they like Indian food and chicken vindaloo, and they happen to go to a place like London that has oodles of Indian restaurants. To find one that directly is interesting for them. Maybe it's not too spicy. Maybe it's got a certain regional flavor, to be able to find that exact restaurant for you, make a reservation, and then to be able to look around who's with you to invite them to come along that you knew from Harvard really changes an experience, doesn't it? Increases the likelihood you're going to want to do it again because you don't have to go through that all that work to figure it out.
Yes, and the system can go beyond that. You mentioned a very important point. Indian cuisine is actually lots of different regional cuisines. There are many different tastes, many different options. So actually, the system realizing you enjoy Indian food may start building, creating a tour for you of, in the 3, 4 days you stay in London, various places where you should go to and try, food from Kerala, from the Punjab, or all these things. And you mentioned something that's could become very big in the future, is that when you go somewhere, that it locates your friends, and you can start co-building an experience with your friends very easily, which today is not an option that's offered in other services.
Yeah, because we waste so much time with this infobesity problem. We have so much data, we don't get to really understand and rejoice in the experience, do we? So now another point is, sometimes we don't think about it, but when you have a system that this robust, imagine the government's being able. You got a tsunami coming into an area, or a health crisis, or large scale gathering. They can use these platforms like Simple Night to share updates, to travel advisories, and also to provide areas where there's safe lodging. I mean, it becomes very, very intuitive on one side.
Yeah, because that's the whole logic behind creating a community. So you got your standard established community, Williamsburg Tourism Board. That's pretty clear what it is. But you may have a Taylor Swift concert. So you only need to have something that's operative for a few days, but you still want something very integrated. And your example of emergency situation is great, because this is the case where you want to be able to build a community very quickly, incredibly quickly. You want to track people, you want to tell people what to do, where to go. You want to tell them where there's water available, where medical services are. You want to have the list of survivors, all these things, and you want to assemble that very quickly. It should be almost instant. And with Simple Night, the way it's so easy to get partners into the system actually makes it possible.
Well, we talked about it. We talk about things like destination promotion and marketing, streamline booking for the government travel also. So public agencies, government offices can use tools like this for hassle-free booking of accommodation, flights, and events. But really, it's going to help those local economies by helping them to promote those local hotels or restaurants and those unique experience. At the same time, it's going to lead to higher revenue because you're giving people what they want, right? They're going to have an opportunity to look through instead of, seeing 2 out of 10 things, they're going to be able to see 10 out of 10, right? And understand what's good for you.
Yeah, because the whole you look at what's happening in tourism today. It's a two-step process. One, you want people to come to your community, and two, you want them to spend. And
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and, and you see everybody is now fighting for the quote unquote good tourist being a heavy spender. Um, and the more people are willing to spend on a holiday or on a moment or on the weekend, the better service they expect. And at the same time, you want them to be able to optimize their stay. Because if they only can do six attractions, say, instead of the 10 they wanted to do, they're leaving 40% of the money on the table. So
Yeah,
to
they can't do
maximize
it
your
because they
revenue,
don't know it exists. They may not know it exists. How do you go to that right vineyard if you don't know that it is even there? And then the other thing is, what are the hours? How do you book a reservation? What are the reviews? All those things that we have to do now. It's really hard, but this is going to change in the near term, with these hyper intelligent systems like Simple Night, to be able to make our lives easier, because we got so much data to go through. And for these governments, for everybody, it helps the governments to understand where to put the money. It helps the individual or group understand what's interesting for them, right? So they're not wasting their time. I mean, I'm on a trip right now. I'm in Thailand, and my first trip in Thailand, it took me 4 days to figure out what kind of restaurant I would want to go to, where the shopping is, what kind of massage, the professional massage that you want to go to, that has these, high quality masseuse. I got a bad back, and to be able to, make it feel better, finding those right kind of masseuse, certified masseuse, was not easy. You gotta, how do you look? There's nothing out there. So having a tool like that can go through it just maximizes your time, right? It optimizes everything. And this is so beautiful for the future, because we're going to see it everywhere. It's not going to be just travel. It's going to be commerce across the board. It's going to be an omni-channel engine to be able to help with everything, because that's our biggest challenge, isn't it? We don't know what we want, and we don't know where to get it, and we don't know how to book it.
actually, if you think of it, in many cases, when you go for the first time in a new city and you're lucky enough to have a friend there, you call that friend and said, what should I do? Where should I go? And then they tell you, there's this museum, these couple of restaurants are great. And actually, if you have a little time, you should go out of the city. There's this chateau to be visited, and then you come back and, oh, I forgot to tell you, on the way there's a vineyard you should stay. Actually, they sell. I know the owner. They have these promotion and wine tasting. You should. This friend actually is not organizing the whole thing, but is giving you great opportunities or things to do. So what the system does, it provides you all this information, and on top of that, you gel it together, and because you do the reservation and all this, so it's incredibly powerful from that standpoint, and it changes completely the way you go about an ecosystem or community.
Yeah, you're right. It changes the experience, because you're getting what you want, when you want it, where you want it, and you can do it from one place. You don't have to waste your time struggling to figure out where it is. That's always the tough part.
Yeah.
Where
and
is it?
and, and
And
if I may interrupt, you also get what you don't know you want, to
that's
use
right, because it
Rumsfeld's
understands what you like.
matrix. Yeah, exactly. Because the thing tells you, okay, actually, you're looking at this, but let me suggest that you also look into this because it seems coherent with your profile.
No, you're right about that. So listen, we're coming to the top of the show. Closing thoughts, Eric, and how do people get a hold of you?
They can get hold of me through GSD. I think that's the easiest way, and my email at GSD. Closing thought is this is Simplelight is truly a revolution because, in simple terms, it helps create the infrastructure for everything that's community driven. And it may be a tourism board, it may be a city, it may be a bank providing different financial services. It's completely open. It shifts the power away from the infrastructure, but to the partners, the community partners, and to the customers who are the most important people. And through AI, and hyper personalization, then the experience is guaranteed to be brilliant.
Yeah, you're right. Simple Night truly makes the complex simple, and more importantly, makes it hyper personalized for you. Eric, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We appreciate it, and thanks to all my audience, for joining one more time. Simple Night presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And we'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Eric, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary. Bye.